I'm just going to come right out and say it. Clemson's Cade Klubnik is the best quarterback going into the 2025 college football season. Not potentially the best quarterback, not the most exciting quarterback, not the most dangerous quarterback, not necessarily the top NFL quarterback prospect, but the best QB going into the season. This is QB Unfiltered, my take. Cade Klubnik. He is ready to explode in 2025.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Okay, Clemson's going to make a ton of noise in 2025, and their senior quarterback, Cade Klubnik, is poised to cement himself as QB1 in college football. Entering his third year as a starter, Klubnik has a group of extremely talented receivers, an offensive line that keeps him on his feet and clean in the pocket for the most part, and an offensive coordinator that knows how to spread defenses out, make the Tigers really tough to defend, and utilizes Klubnik's unique skill set. And this kid has made strides every year he's been at Clemson, and this year will be no different. Look for Cade Klubnik to use last year's experience and success to blow it up in 2025 and light it up. Before we go any further, make sure to hit that like button, share this video out, and subscribe to the channel QB Unfiltered. I greatly appreciate the support. Let me know in the comments who you think is QB1 in college football 2025. And in today's show, I'm going to cover the physical and mental aspects of Cade Klubnik's game that I think separate him from a handful of really talented quarterbacks in college football. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you guys who Klubnik reminds me of, spitting image of a guy who's currently playing in the NFL. Klubnik is 6'2". They have him listed at 210 pounds, although he's not that heavy. Okay, he's probably closer to 200 pounds. He's going into his senior year. He's an Austin, Texas native, and he played his high school ball at Westlake High School in Texas, which is a football powerhouse in that state. That school has produced a lot of big-time quarterbacks over the years, including Drew Brees. This past season, Klubnik threw for an impressive 3,639 yards. He hit on 63.4% of his attempts. He tossed 36 touchdown passes and threw only 6 picks. He also added 463 yards on the ground and scored 7 touchdowns. And I've said this a bunch on this channel, but quarterbacks, in my opinion, that sign with a school and stay at the same place, playing for the same program, running the same offensive system, and being coached by the same quarterback coach, those guys have a leg up on these other guys that are bouncing around, going from program to program. And I can do an entire show on the benefits of a quarterback staying in the same program for his entire college career. Okay, these are the reasons why I think Cade Klubnik is the best quarterback going into the 2025 season. Now I'm going to start with the mental part of Klubnik's game, and not just X's and O's and decision making. This guy plays the game like it's slowed down in his head. You know, I said the same thing about Cam Ward, where you've got the speed of the game going on, things happening in the pocket, out on the field, and it's like everybody else is playing breakneck speed, and he is too, but in his mind, it's like the game is slowed down around him. So there's never any panic and there's never any urgency in his game. Klubnik looks like he's always in control out there, and he has the valuable ability to stay absolutely cool and calm in the pocket. And that allows him to run Clemson's offensive structure the way it's supposed to be run. Okay, let's move on to Klubnik's football IQ, because when you watch him play, it's obvious to me that he knows their playbook inside and out. He knows their protection schemes. He understands the numbers game in pass protection. And when the defense has the ability to bring one more guy than what you could block, and then he understands coverages and how to hurt them. You know, I watched a lot of tape on him, and I never saw him be confused by a pre-snap coverage look and what the defense actually played on the snap of the ball. So a lot of times you'll see a defensive coverage line up in, say, cover 2, and on the snap of the ball, they'll spin it down or rotate down to a one high coverage, and that changes quarterback reads on a lot of the pass concepts. I never saw him confused when defenses did that to him. In fact, it was just the opposite. That comes from a high football IQ, that comes from watching a ton of film, that also comes from being coached up by a really good offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. And by the way, both of those guys are the same. Garrett Riley, who's the younger brother of Lincoln Riley. We'll talk a little bit more about him later. All right, Cade Klubnik is a high energy guy. When you watch him play, he looks like he loves the game of football. He's enjoying himself out there. He just plays with a ton of energy, which that transfers into his teammates. It's infectious. All right, I touched on this a little bit earlier, but one of his strengths is he is completely stoic in the pocket, cool and calm. Okay, when you see him pull the ball down and run when they've got a pass called, and you see him pull it down and take off, that's not because he's panicked and he's abandoned that pass concept. That's because the defense has opened up a freeway to take off and run, and that's when he does that. So a lot of quarterbacks, you'll watch that when they drop and the pocket's starting to be compromised a little bit, their eyes come down to the pass rush and they start to get real frantic, all right? And now they're looking for ways to escape and get out of the pocket, and the pass offense goes to shit when that happens. With Klubnik, when things start to break down, all right, all he does is just slide around, climb, controlled shuffle away from the line of scrimmage. He puts himself in position to throw the ball the way he wants to throw it without guys in his face, and he's keeping his eyes downfield on his reads, and he's keeping the structure and the integrity of the pass concept. That's a big skill for a quarterback, and man, is he cool out there in the pocket. Okay, this is one of the most important inner workings that any quarterback can possess. That's the ability to stay the course. Okay, he's playing a position that's the most scrutinized position in all of sports. I always say quarterback is the toughest position to play in all of sports, which it is. It's also the most scrutinized. Playing quarterback, you get way too much praise when things go good, and you get way too much blame when they don't go good. Okay, and you've got to have the right type of mental approach and attitude and mental toughness to survive the adversity that's going to hit every quarterback. It hits every QB. And Cade Klubnik saw a lot of that and heard a lot of that in the 2023 season. And instead of going in the tank, letting it affect his game, cashing his chips, feeling sorry for himself, whatever, all he did was focus in on being better, getting better, and block out the noise and just focus on what he needed to do to help Clemson win football games. And look what he did in 2024. A big, big year. And I think that he's put himself in position now with the people that he's got around him that he's really going to light it up this year coming up. Okay, let's move on to his physical skills. And, you know, when I talk physical skills with Cade Klubnik, you really got to say overall mechanics. His overall mechanics are pretty much spot on perfect. And I watched this kid when he was a senior in high school. I watched clips of him Throwing in high school, I watched clips of him in all-star games, and you could just tell that he has been well coached when he was a youngster. He was well coached in high school, and his mechanics are spot on. They're classic. And he doesn't have a strong arm. Okay. He doesn't have the world's strongest arm, but what makes him effective when he throws the ball is his mechanics are so tight that it makes up for the lack of great arm strength because he doesn't have any wasted motion in what he does. The ball is up and out, and we'll talk about that more here in a minute. Okay, he's got pretty good feet. Now, if you've watched me talk about other quarterbacks this year, I get a really hard time with guys that take a 3-step drop, and the third step or the last step of their drop is this big ass, wide, long step, which causes these dudes to have to reshuffle their feet to get them underneath their shoulders to where they should have been in the first place in order to start that stride and transfer of the weight. Well, Klubnik is one of these guys that when he hits the last step of his drop, his feet are in the right platform width where he doesn't have to adjust his feet, right? He can just push off, stride, and throw. Now, he puts a lot of hitch steps in on his 3-step drop, and there are times where he uses a hitch when he doesn't need to, and it causes him to get the ball out late. But for the most part, his feet are really good. So when you watch him throw, just the throwing mechanics are always the same. That consistency really makes him an accurate quarterback, and it also helps him get the ball out on time. Okay, now I talked about this before. I don't cover it a lot because you don't see a whole lot of quarterbacks doing this. The one thing I love about Klubnik when he throws the ball, he gets on top of his throw. That's the way I used to say it to my quarterbacks. I equated a lot of QB throwing to baseball pitchers, and we would talk about getting on top of your throw and throwing off the mound, throwing downhill. And what I'm talking about when I say that is when you watch Klubnik throw the ball, when he takes that stride step with his, and I'm showing you left-handed guys, sorry if that's screwing you up. When he takes a stride step with his left foot, as that ball is starting to come out of his hand, he's picking that right foot totally off the ground. And he's getting on top of that throw, and he uses that when he is driving those throws on those intermediate throws, right? The seam verticals, the digs, the corner routes, the deep curls, the deep out routes, any intermediate type throw that he's got to throw on a 1 with some gas behind it, you're going to see him get on top of the throw and throw it down off the mound. I really like that about him. Okay, now, the most important part of Klubnik's delivery, no wasted motion. So, ball carriage, all right? That is how you hold the ball when you drop. And he's got it tip of the ball, top of his numbers. His elbows are down and relaxed. Textbook, okay? But the thing that he does from here is he pushes it up and back when it's time to throw. And where quarterbacks get into trouble with wasted motion is when they can have it in great ball carriage, but when it's time to throw, they drop the ball way down to their waist. And when the ball's down at the waist, what do you got to do as a quarterback? You got to push it all the way back up here to get it out. Klubnik is here, and he pushes it up and back, and it's out. Okay? Great ball carriage, no wasted motion. He also doesn't pat the ball when he throws. That's another bad habit that quarterbacks have. And then he's got that real quick delivery, quick release. We call it throwing with the C motion, okay, a C from here, and you're bringing that arm through in like a C motion. His is tight and quick, okay? So earlier, I said he doesn't have the world's strongest arm. He makes up for that with great, clean throwing mechanics, okay? No wasted motion for Klubnik. So the little subtle things that Klubnik does on the field and in the pocket, a lot of those are coached behavior. All right. It is Riley doing these drills day after day after day so that it is ingrained in Cade's muscle memory. And so hats off to Riley. I think he's done a hell of a job with Klubnik. Okay, here's a few miscellaneous thoughts on Cade Klubnik. Number one, while he's not a creator in the Lenora Sellers mode, where, Sellers just scares the hell out of defensive guys when he, for whatever reason, there's a lot of reasons why Sellers does this, but he'll pull the ball down and go on a pass play, and he becomes a world-class running back when he does that. Klubnik doesn't do it like that, okay? But when he does pull the ball down and run, man, this dude is fast. He's fast. He can run. That's impressive. You see him out there in the open field, he is running and creating distance between him and DBs. Okay, so I'm sure that Riley has talked to him about this, but Cade Klubnik is not built when he runs the ball to lower his shoulder and try to truck DBs at the end of runs. He's not built for that. Like I said, I think he's 200 pounds. They've got him listed at 210. But there were a couple times this year where he tried to lower his shoulder and get big on a DB and got the shit knocked out of him. Okay, that's not good. Get what you can get, Cade, and slide and protect yourself and live to run the next snap. Now, there are situations and times where you've got to lower your pad level and you've got to get that extra inch or two. If that's the case now, you got to teach yourself to turn your body and take those head-on shots as glancing blows. Okay, we want to preserve your health so you can line up and run the next snap. Okay, and then there are some clips here I'm going to show you, man. Clemson, like I said earlier, their offensive line does a great job in keeping Klubnik up and clean in the pocket. But there are some snaps this year where they were running play pass, where they're like blocking down and trying to pull linemen and either kick out or hook or whatever, like semi-pass protection that they just couldn't do. And you had some defensive linemen with wind sprints at Klubnik and just knocked the crap out of him when he released the football. So, Clemson, you need to clean that stuff up. Other than that, their offensive line does a really nice job in pass protection. Okay, this last year, if Clemson would have played Stanford every game of the season, Klubnik would have thrown for about 8,000 yards. Their defense was horrible last year. Just horrible. Okay, I talk about coach behavior, and I'm on this a lot because I think it makes a big difference. And this didn't surprise me when I saw Cade doing this. But when they're throwing outside verticals versus a one high safety, either cover one or cover three, he's glancing off the free safety and then coming back and throwing the outside vert. Okay, and I've talked about why you do this before, but real quickly, you either want to freeze that guy in center field or you want to get him to go with your eyes, knowing that you're coming back and throwing the other way. That's coach behavior. That's smart quarterback play. And Klubnik does this every time he throws an outside vertical versus a one high safety. Okay, now a truly great situation for any college football offense is to have a highly skilled quarterback like Cade Klubnik and an offensive coordinator that understands how to hurt defenses, runs a QB-friendly offense, and is also the quarterback coach and understands all of the skills and drills that need to be taught to that quarterback. And then you just turn it loose on Saturday and pull up a seat and watch the show. The Clemson Tigers are in a great situation because I think Garrett Riley's got it going on as a coach, and him combined with the great skill level of Cade Klubnik. That's why I'm saying This year is going to be a special year for the Clemson Tigers. Okay, going back to the beginning of the show, I'm going to answer some of those categories that I laid out when I called Cade Klubnik going into this season the best QB in college football. Potentially the best. That's Texas Arch Manning. The most exciting quarterback, Lenora Sellers, hands down. The most dangerous quarterback, Lenora Sellers, hands down. The top NFL quarterback prospect, Garrett Nussmeier. But let's see what happens with Arch Manning. Okay, let's see how 2025 shakes out for him. But he's unproven. Okay, so Garrett Nussmeier, I think, is the top NFL prospect at the QB position. So as I said, going into this season, I think that Cade Klubnik is the best quarterback in college football. Now, the other thing is, who does he remind me of that is currently playing in the NFL? These two dudes are spitting images of each other. Cade Klubnik is Bo Nix 2.0. Everything about his game. He's built just like him. Just about the same height, same weight. He's got the same great mechanics. He's got the same energy and enthusiasm. When Nix played at Oregon, he played in a QB-friendly offense that knew how to dissect defenses, same as Klubnik. Okay, those two guys are like twins. Okay, thanks for watching today. This has been QB Unfiltered. And remember, always throw the ball short to guys who can score. See ya.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.